The hospital was always a blur of motion. Beeping machines sang a constant, urgent song. Doctors and nurses rushed down long hallways. Their footsteps echoed with purpose. Families waited, their faces etched with worry and hope. The smell of antiseptic cleaner was sharp in the air. It was a place of high stakes. It was a place of life, and sometimes, profound loss. Mara moved through this chaos with grace. She was a senior nurse, known for her calm. She knew what to do in a crisis. Her hands were steady, her voice was gentle and reassuring. Patients trusted her. New nurses looked up to her. She always had a kind word. She always had a smile. She seemed to manage it all so well. But beneath that capable surface, something was shifting. A deep weariness was settling into her bones. It was more than just physical tiredness. It was an exhaustion of the spirit. Each smile took a little more effort. Each comforting word felt a bit heavier. She was hiding the struggle from everyone. This was her secret burden. When Mara finally got home, the silence was overwhelming. The constant noise of the hospital faded away. It left a vast, empty space. Her small apartment felt too quiet, too still. Here, the mask she wore all day could finally come off. She would sink onto the sofa. The exhaustion would wash over her. It was a relief to be alone. But the loneliness was a heavy blanket. It often felt suffocating. She found herself withdrawing from friends and family. Invitations went unanswered. Phone calls were brief. She didn't have the energy to pretend. She didn't know how to explain the emptiness inside. How could she tell them she felt broken? The thought of shattering that image was terrifying, so she stayed quiet. She kept her pain locked away. The isolation grew deeper with each passing day. One Tuesday, the dam finally broke. The shift had been relentless. A young patient had taken a turn for the worse. Mara and the team fought hard, but it wasn't enough. The loss hit her deeply. The family's raw grief echoed in her ears. She finished her charting, her hands trembling slightly. She walked out of the hospital. The automatic doors swished shut behind her. She felt hollowed out, utterly depleted. She reached her car in the dimly lit parking garage. She slid into the driver's seat, but she couldn't turn the key. She couldn't make herself move. The exhaustion was a physical weight pressing down on her. Tears began to stream down her face, silent at first, then turning into quiet sobs. All the pain, all the stress, all the unspoken fears came pouring out. She felt like she was shattering into a million pieces, right there alone in her car. Her mind raced with dark thoughts. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered to the empty car. "I'm not strong enough. I'm failing." She needed help. The next morning, the memory of the parking garage was vivid. The raw emotion was still close to the surface, but so was that tiny spark of resolve. Reaching out felt like the hardest thing she had ever done. It meant admitting she wasn't okay. It meant being vulnerable. Just making that call, taking that first small step, felt like a monumental victory. A sliver of relief pierced through her fear. Therapy became a lifeline for Mara. Each session was a space to unpack her heavy load. She learned that her feelings were valid. Her depression had a name. It wasn't a personal failing. It was a response to overwhelming stress and unspoken pain. Her therapist helped her understand the patterns. She learned new ways to cope with difficult emotions. She started to see that asking for help was a sign of true strength, not weakness. Slowly, Mara began to practice self-care. It wasn't about grand gestures. It was about small, consistent acts of kindness towards herself. She started taking short walks in nature. She rediscovered her love for reading. She made time for quiet reflection. She learned to say no sometimes. She started setting boundaries to protect her energy. These small changes began to make a big difference. She was learning to nurture herself again. With newfound courage, Mara started to reach out to her loved ones. She shared her struggles honestly. She was met with surprise, yes, but also with overwhelming love and support. Mara returned to her work at the hospital. She was still the competent, caring nurse she had always been, but something was different. There was a new depth to her presence, an authenticity that came from embracing her own vulnerability. She no longer felt the need to wear a perfect mask. Her experiences had changed her. They had made her more compassionate, not just towards her patients, but also towards herself and her colleagues.
One afternoon, she noticed a young nurse named Sarah. Sarah looked tired. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes.
Mara recognized the signs. She saw the familiar strain she herself had carried for so long. In the past, Mara might have said nothing, but now she knew the importance of connection. She knew the danger of silence. She remembered her own painful isolation. She knew she could offer something valuable.
Mara found a quiet moment to speak with Sarah. She didn't offer unsolicited advice. Instead, she shared a little of her own story. She spoke about the pressures of nursing. She talked about her own struggles with burnout and depression.